What is good, all you Windy City Fantastics? We are Windy City Fantasy. I am your host, Steve. Across from me, crushing leagues like a grape, the wise sage moose.
I hate fantasy.
Rocking the beats and dropping the bombs and rocking a sweet old school Nintendo hat. Elliot,
Hey,
how we doing tonight, boys?
Cheers.
What are we drinking? I'm feeling a little bougie tonight. I got a little Lagunitas Sonoma. It was a farmhouse ale brewed in red wine barrels, so bourgeois,
I'm
drinking
rocking
right?
the Four Roses bourbon with some cranberry juice.
There we go.
Ah, the cranberry juice, huh?
There we go.
Reminds me of the line from The Departed.
Just the season.
If I found out about this drink on my wedding night,
Oh,
my buddy who DJ'd my wedding was at the bar. He had this. I said, "What is that?" And he said, "It's bourbon and cranberry juice." I said, "Oh man, well I'm gonna try what he has," and I haven't stopped drinking it since.
Nice.
So
beautiful.
All right. Well, guys, we got a great show for you tonight. Starting a little bit late, but we're still here. We're still here for you to help you out, power you through. We're getting closer to the fantasy playoffs. Only about a week or two away
For most leagues.
for most leagues. For others, maybe a little bit longer, and some other leagues that may go all the way to week 17. We're going to be here with you all the way till the end. But first, let's get to the news. All right, guys. First up in news, and it's only fitting that we do this.
Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust.
That is right. Another head coach and GM has bit the dust. So long, Matt Patricia. So long, I forget your name, GM. And usher in the era of Darrell Bevell. Named Detroit Lions interim head coach until the final season, until they either find a replacement or they give him a contract and say, you did a good enough job to get us through.
Apparently, the owners of Detroit are very excited for him, and he got an email saying that please don't take this as a you're filling in. Take this as
This is your
an interview
Yeah.
because they really like this guy, and if he turns things around in Detroit, which I don't know what that means, get a win or two
Mm-hmm.
to end the season, that he will be a front runner for the job next year.
Well, so let's look at what we currently have, right? So Houston fired their head coach / GM, Bill O'Brien.
Yep.
The Atlanta Falcons have fired their head coach and their GM, and now the Lions have fired their GM and head coach as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I know we've gone through, well, who's next on the chopping block, but I want to pose this question to you guys is, if the Bears retain Nagy, but yet they fire Ryan Pace after this year, would you go after one of these three GMs to fill that spot, or would you look otherwise, say Theo Epstein?
I pass on the question to Elliot.
So
Quick answer.
Theo is not coming,
All right, cool.
but
cool.
a Theo type character
All right.
in the football realm. Please come on down.
I mean, if you're giving me the option for these three guys, I don't want Bill O'Brien.
Okay.
I would probably have to say the Falcons guy because, I mean, he showed a track record of actually bringing in people. And, I mean, they were in the Super Bowl like 3-4 years ago. It's just they went up against the Patriots, the best team in our like last 10 years, you know?
Yeah. All right. I mean, just some food for
Stay away
thought.
from Detroit.
Who knows? The Bears.
Blasphemer. The 85 Bears are still the best team.
I just found out this past Sunday night during the game that Virginia McCaskey's 98. She's knocking 2 years away from 100. So, I mean,
And she still looks like she could run a 40-yard dash
right?
better
So
than me.
there's
I mean,
no signs saying that they're going to get rid of Pace or Nagy this year. It might happen
So-
next year. So until then, Bears fans,
I want the Bears to hit a reset button on everything. No hype of Trubisky, no hype of Nagy. Like, you had your time in that sunlight. Restart, hit the drawing board. If you have to start from scratch, do it. But then do it right. Don't do it where, like, oh, he brought this guy. I want to respect him. And I
like
have
you're the
respect
guy
for
from the
him,
Flex
and-
Seal commercial and you're just slapping it on a hole,
Yeah.
hole with water coming
Yeah.
out.
Let's make a boat out of Flex.
Well, yeah, let's do it like the Hawks did it. Let's do it like the Bulls have done it. Here's the thing: I can't remember the guy's name who's above Pace, but under George McCaskey. He's the GM, the money guy.
Yes.
So
I just keep talking. It's gonna come.
the
More like the
rumor
captain
is
of operations type of guy.
yeah, he's like the Crane Kenny, which is the
Phillips?
Cubs guy, the Cubs business. Yes, Ted Phillips.
Ted
Yeah.
Phillips, yeah.
Ooh, look at that now.
The rumor is the Bears may want to redo their whole structure as far as NFL operations go, and he may be done.
Okay.
He may be the guy who takes the fall, and they bring someone in with more of a football brain as opposed to a business background, and they redo that. So what the rumor is they're going to bring that guy in. They're going to let that guy decide if he's going to keep Pace, and if they fire Pace and bring in a new GM, they're going to let that guy decide if they want to keep Nagy, which they may keep Nagy because Nagy's still got 2 more years.
2 words.
So
2 words. Big tuna. Friggin' Bill Parcells, baby.
You ain't bringing no Bill Parcells. Get out with that
Everywhere
garbage,
he
that hot
goes,
garbage.
Everywhere he goes, he wins. He's a winner.
He's happy living a retired life. I can tell you that right there.
Fine,
But yeah, no, that's good.
But
That's
yeah,
good,
like that
rumor
seems
mill right there.
that seems to be the direction that the Bears may be leaning in. So I would expect maybe Pace and Nagy keep their jobs at least 1 more year,
Okay.
and Ted Phillips is gone, and someone that has some kind of football acumen will come in and start a Theo like
At the end of the day, you're gonna
guy.
make me look up acumen. All right.
Sorry, a Theo like person will come in and
I get that
rebuild the whole structure. Pretty much the same thing as acumen.
Right.
All right, so I'm going to ask you guys this question before we move on.
All right.
A Theo like person will come in and rebuild the whole structure of how the Bears do football stuff.
If Bears don't make playoffs, is Todd Phillips gone?
Probably.
I mean, if
If
they would generally want to clean house and they want to start, because listen, look how long it took to get rid of Angelo. Even the guy restructured his own contract and it took forever to get rid of him. They finally got rid of him and brought in Pace. So now here we have the last of the two-headed monster, which is Phillips. So let's see what the McCaskies can actually do if they grow a pair and truly want to shut down shop, clean it out, start from scratch, and go from there. They're going to have enough problems with their own
Like what I'm
with
trying
their own budget with trying to re-sign players.
Like what I'm trying to say is, if the Bears make playoffs, do you think these people are safe for another year, or winning, or making
No.
playoffs, or
No,
not?
it doesn't mean it doesn't
No,
mean
I
anything,
think Ted
because
Phillips still may be gone.
Organizations have done that before in the past, where a team has made the playoffs, but yet the following year, certain key personnel in the organization have been released, and they brought in somebody else because, despite of what that team had done, it's not like they brought them there themselves. It took them that long to get to that point.
Right.
So we'll just leave
Look,
that
the
there.
Bears brought in Eddie Accorsi, a headhunter type of person who has connections in the NFL, to give them a list of people that were already in their division to hire. So let's start with football operations.
Man,
I can deal with. Look, Nagy is a good head coach as far as organizational and getting guys to play. He's not a good offensive coordinator, and the proof that system does not work also exists in Philadelphia because they're both from that tree,
You know what I
and they
want?
both run the same offense.
Who's the GM for Baltimore? Who's a former player? I can't think of his name at the top of my head. You know who I'm talking about?
yeah, but he stepped down.
Ozzie Smith?
Ozzie Smith. Yeah, Ozzie Smith. Ozzie Newsome.
Newsome, yes. Just saying,
What?
I got my wrong sport,
Get
whatever.
me Ozzie Newsome, or at least a type like him. What he did to revamp that Ravens organization, bringing, when you get Ray Lewis and you get all these key players and what they left and what he did, give me someone like that if you're going to build from the ground up. Get somebody like that. That'd be great. All right. But just so we don't keep beating this in the ground, we're going to move
Isn't
on.
it funny that we talked about how Detroit got a new head coach and we talked about the Bears?
We go straight to the Bears
Yeah,
every time.
screw Detroit.
Horrible. Anyways, a couple of schedule changes that you might not be aware of, but you will be aware of as of tonight. since because of the COVID situation and Ravens Steelers getting bumped all the way to yesterday, the Steelers Washington game has been moved from Sunday to Monday, and the Cowboys Ravens had been moved from Monday to Tuesday. So make sure that these guys are in your flex positions. They are not in your permanent positions, or you just adjust accordingly to that.
Yeah, just monitor come Sunday to know where you're at, because I mean it's still early in the week. There's we're going to talk about COVID and the Steelers and Baltimore, how
It's
there's
just
still players
Yeah.
on there.
Well,
But
it's essentially the waiver wire starts today anyway, so everything's kind of pushed back a day.
Yeah.
So your waiver wire priorities and stuff take precedence today. If you guys are, and this is probably bad of me to say, like me, I don't like to deal with waiver wire because I don't like to wait till the day after. Like instead of waiting for, Tuesday, I will make my pickups on Wednesday or even Thursday, depending on my situation, because like I've said in previous shows, I really don't like to play Thursday matchups unless they're my home run hitters.
Yeah.
I'll do my pickups on Wednesday and Thursday. I tend to not like to use the waiver wire priority unless I have a for sure on waiver wires, like 1 or 2, or maybe even 3. But for me, in the way that I play fantasy, I tend to be in the middle when it comes to waiver priority. So I just is like, for lack of a better terms, I'm like, fuck waivers. I got to do what I got to do, like, immediately as soon as players are available. So
yeah,
That's how we like to roll. Hit them hard. It's a cutthroat type of game. So,
oh my God, can I tell you something? Like, look, nothing against anybody that we play with or anybody in general, but I like when guys, this is just in general, when guys are available, watch how quick they get picked up in your leagues, whether they are good or haven't played in 2 years. Like what's his name from Seattle? But
Oh, I know.
we'll be getting to that news right there in a hot second. We'll be talking.
But
quickly.
He may be
when guys are thirsty in fantasy, watch how quick, as soon as like information about them coming off COVID lists, or coming off of suspensions or coming off of injury, watch how quick those guys get snatched up.
Oh yeah. I mean, believe me, if word came out that Skittles was making a comeback for a third time, somebody would already grabbed him by now.
I'm just saying, Josh Gordon may play Week 16. If you're in your fantasy leagues, that means you made it to the championship.
Right?
Exactly. So you're going to pick
Why
up.
would you pick him up?
Right.
Yeah.
But maybe a first place or second place team
that,
would pick
that was
him
already
up.
broke right there.
Fantasy 2020.
But all right, a guy who was part of your fantasy team, who was driving you to playoffs or better, who could have won you your championship, Will Fuller, has been suspended 6 games for violating the NFL's PED substance policy.
Hasn't he done that before?
Yes. And then they also got Roble, the cornerback for Houston.
I was just about to say that too.
So this hurts. And because of the fact that the Texans had already released Kenny Stills, that just leaves
Kenny Stills and Cobbs are on the IR to the end of the season. So Will Fuller going down. All they have now is Brandon Cooks and Q up QT or whatever.
Kiki Kuti.
QT. I'm just saying he's going to be the number one pickup. He's already been the number one pickup.
Yeah, he was already
I picked
gone.
him up in all 4 of my leagues. Like,
that's funny.
How cutthroat this is.
Well, no, I have Will Fuller in one of my
know.
leagues, and he was literally like,
I know.
Look,
son
if
of a
I had room,
since I'm on a roll today, let's talk about Will Fuller.
Let's talk.
Will Fuller is the most inconsistent number 1 wide receiver in all of fantasy football. If he's playing, he's great. But he's good for getting injured at least twice a year, and now in back-to-back years getting suspended. Mm-hmm. So Will Fuller is not somebody.
Listen, Notre Dame just wasn't teaching players how to play football. They're teaching them how to be on PEDs and get injured.
If you're coming from Notre Dame and you're on the offense, you kind of have a bad track record in the NFL.
Let's see if Chase Claypool can break that trend, though.
And Cole Kmet. Hopefully he's good.
Cole Kmet, yeah. All right. A few guys have been activated off of the IR and also the reserve COVID-19. Eagles tight end Zach Ertz and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Jonathan Taylor from the Colts, and Adam Thielen from the Vikings. Broncos, for better or worse, all three of their quarterbacks are now have been removed off the COVID/reserve list as well. So if you're wondering whether or not you can start Drew Lock against the Kansas City Chiefs, yeah, if you're smoking some crack.
Is it going to be relevant?
Still stay away from those guys. We'll cover the Broncos-Chiefs game later in the show.
Yeah, I mean, the only relevance coming out of here is Adam Thielen coming back. The matchup was really good for the Vikings this week. And the Colts proved last week that their run game runs through Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know. So if you get Taylor back and Adam back, congratulations.
Yeah.
You got him back on a good week.
Absolutely. Jaguars coach Doug Marrone announced that Mike Glennon will still be their quarterback this Sunday. The Tanksonville is still set in.
They're writing the book on how to tank.
Hashtag
hey,
2020.
our number one quarterback is healthy.
Properly.
We're starting the backup.
Right? Bears, come and knock and go get Minshew because we could use some jorts and stash like that.
I don't know. People want Wentz out of Philly.
Right? Did you see Jalen Hurts came in for a few plays? They want to get him more acclimated, more involved with the Eagles offense.
Yeah, so there was rumors that the veterans of the past of Philadelphia are like, why the hell do you want to start this guy? Do you not see he doesn't know how to throw the football? Like they blatantly were like on Twitter like bashing Hurts, and they're like, why do they want to start him?
Oh, and if anyone should be listening, they should be listening to the Philadelphia fans. They're the most gruesome on their own teams.
But they're the dumbest ones.
But look,
he wanted Andy Reid out. He took him to 4 NFC championship games.
Mitch Trubisky, Nick Foles, and Carson Wentz. They all have Sam Darnold disease. The offensive lines are so bad. They're seeing ghosts. Their footwork is horrible. They're not stepping into throws properly. I watched some of that game, and I can throw better out patterns than Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz and Mitch Trubisky are both kind of equivalent. They both need to be somewhere else.
Yeah,
and
man.
I think they will thrive once they go into like different area codes.
It's got to be a different system. It's got to be a different scheme. This tree of Andy Reid's and this tree of Bill Belichick's, it's okay. So I will give the exception to Tennessee's head coach,
Mark Fable.
Right, but he was former player / little bit.
But what's his name
from the coaching tree?
Detroit
but not
was
like
a former player too.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing: all these from the branches of Reid and Belichick, they're not working out as well.
Vrabel only was defensive coordinator for like 3 years before he got the head coaching job.
Right.
Like Patricia's been in the league.
I know, but
like Josh McDaniels didn't do nothing; had to go back to Belichick.
Yeah, because
Josh McDaniels, is not. So like Josh McDaniels. I'm sorry, everything was kind of fuzzy over there, so I just jumped in. But Josh McDaniels is staying under the wing of Papa Bird over in New England because he thinks when Belichick retires, that job is his.
Yeah,
I think so
because he could have
going to go out and get somebody else.
Because he went out, and what job did he have? Was it
the Broncos?
He had the Broncos job. He did horribly, like Belichick.
I'm just saying.
When Belichick was with the Browns and did horrible and then got a second job in New England and now all of a sudden he's one of the greatest coaches of all time. But Josh McDaniels, he did the same thing. So he had the shitty coaching. He's back under.
There are some guys who are just meant for their life to be as coordinators than the head man.
I'm just saying, Josh McDaniels didn't go out to build a team. Josh McDaniels went out to make a name for himself. That's why he drafted Tebow with the 50th overall pick. That's why they went 8-8, and then they upsetted the Steelers in the playoffs. That's only thing. Belichick went to the Browns. Dude, he went to the Browns in 95, was like, we're cleaning house. We're doing it my way. Then the Browns left Cleveland to go to Baltimore, and that year that they left, they won the Super Bowl. That was the team Belichick built.
I think we should start a new thing. Anytime we get on a rant about coaches or the Bears, we need to chug a beer or something, right?
I'm with you, Jay. He is playing scared.
Yeah, he is playing scared, but if I want any of them, bring the stash to Chicago.
All right.
That's all I'm saying.
Another head coach, Brian Flores of the Dolphins, says the Big Tuna is still their starter, and he's tired of people asking the question if he's still the starter. Yeah, if he's healthy, he's the guy. I don't know how many different ways we have to continue to say that. You keep asking, I'll keep answering the same way. As of right now, until he looks good in practice to where they're going to start him, it's going to be Fitzpatrick. So with all that information, you just have to wait until the Friday practice report to get your final answer whether or not Tua is going to start or not.
Mm-hmm. I just think it's one of those things where I think Flores is like he's our future, so we're treating him like the future.
Yeah,
and I think that's what's going on, and I think that I feel that. What am I trying to say? That I don't think Flores right now is about the W's. I think he wants Tua to get as much experience for the future,
mm-hmm.
and I think Fitzpatrick put him in a position where like they're having W's and they're playing really well. That Tua can go in and get that experience.
Right. Also, let's jump into some injuries really quick. Julio downgraded to did not practice on Thursday. Still nursing the injury. Coach Tomlin didn't offer any timeline for Connor's possible return. Expects Snell to play against Washington. DeAndre Swift, who had been cleared from concussion protocol, is now dealing with an illness, not COVID related.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not practicing. Hopefully by Sunday against the Bears, he's good to go. Keep your ears and eyes open on all information for that. Josh Jacobs dealing with an ankle injury. It's not a high ankle sprain. It's just a sprained ankle. Still has a chance to play this week.
But he's missed 2 days of practice already.
Yes. So if you are cutthroat in your league or you're not dealing with any waiver wire BS, then go out and get Devontae Booker just in case. If you're the Josh Jacobs owner, a little backup stash.
Yeah, I mean the Raiders are playing the Jets. If they want Jacobs to sit a week, this is the week you want to sit him.
Yeah. Also, we have Philip Lindsay dealing with a knee injury, missed Wednesday's practice. I don't have the report on whether or not he played practiced Thursday, but if he does not practice Friday, then consider him out, most likely for the game against the Chiefs. And then Panthers, DJ Moore, in a scary look to that landing he made against the last week. The X-rays were negative, so he's going to be able to play after the bye, or possibly could.
Yeah. And just to touch on your guys' boy, your love toy for the season, Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones out of practice again.
Boy, Danny.
See how the screen is set up?
Yeah.
Boom. Right here. This square, me.
Mm-hmm.
Go 1, 2 over. That's Daniel Jones. Joe Burrow. Both screens, but Joe Burrow.
Wow.
Daniel Jones, that guy.
Speaking of Joe Burrow, his surgery was a success. So
Good.
there's that. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire held out of practice Thursday due to an illness as well. So this is really interesting because if he's unable to play Sunday, this is a big game for Bell.
Yeah, and then the same thing with the Broncos. Like we're talking about their quarterbacks coming back. I don't know how much that helps, but Philip Lindsay missing. I mean, maybe Gordon is the Gordon of old.
Yeah.
Maybe, question mark. I don't know. I own him in a few leagues, and I've been sitting him, and I've been happy that I've been sitting him because he's just been hurting me.
And as far as
back that's fallen off is
as far as
Jeez.
guests on our show, we have a long list and we're very strict with our personnel. So it is very tough to get on the show. It was hard enough for me to get on this show.
Well, we will do a shout out. What's up, Kuba and Angie?
Yeah.
Thank you for listening.
All right. And with that being said, injuries and news out the window. Let's get to the games, boys.
Yeah, I'm going to try
Yeah.
some. I'm gonna take
How about you give us an update on this deep dish?
I was thinking the same thing.
That's what we're gonna do. So update it for everybody following us this week.
Real quick, before you do that, I am so glad that they played that game. The Steelers.
I am not. See, I call
Because-
BS. We could have just had the damn Colts one go through.
Yeah, no, man.
Away, Jose.
I'm sorry. I'm
I call
just in a really good
I
shenanigans.
like it.
All right, go ahead, Moose. Go
mood. You
ahead.
still won.
So here it is with the updates. Elliot 27-19,
Ooh,
3-1. Steve 24-22,
yes.
See?
Moose 24-22.
Yes.
3-1.
Oh,
Nice.
yes.
Here, I've been making my comeback. I've been slowly creeping, and we got 3 more weeks left.
Do you want to do a side parlay? What
Oh,
if we end as
We,
in a
we
tie?
have to do 17-17 or week 17.
Right. If we tie, we
Then
got.
we have to do like a Super Bowl thing.
All right.
Like we have to predict like a Super Bowl champion or something.
But
But
you guys work that out. I'm gonna stay over
Yeah.
here in
What
the
kind of
lead.
deep dish you like?
so let's do with this since we're on this deep dish. We're going to cover the 4 games we're betting on, and
Okay.
then we'll start off for the week.
All right. And
So the first game is Rams Cardinals.
All right, sounds
Oh,
good.
good
Way
game.
to start this off. We got the we got a top 5 defense against what was a struggling Cardinals offense last week against a Patriots defense that should have folded a lot more like they have been in previous weeks.
And the greatest news out of all of this coming out of Cardinals camp is Kyle Fuller practiced in full, 100% with the number 1 team yesterday and today.
Kyler Murray,
Kyle Murray. What did I say? Fuller?
Kyle Fuller.
I'm sorry.
Still thinking Bears.
Yep.
my friend. It's okay.
Kyle Murray,
We're
yeah.
here to pick each other up.
There you go.
We trip and stumble. Somebody's got to grab an arm, yank us back out of there.
So I don't know. I kind of feel
So you think it was because last week the banged up, not practicing much, that he was nursing the shoulder problems, and
I think they really constricted him to just passing. I think they constricted his running ability just so you're not banging him up. And I mean,
Mhm.
like, if he's able to play, you're not going to sit him for that reason because he still is probably better than the backup. But
Yeah.
I think you limit him on what he does and what he makes that offense click, you know?
right.
And I think
So
his
do you-
mobility and his scrambling.
So do you believe he's going to have a bounce back week this week
He's
against the
gonna have
Rams
to.
defense, who tends to kind of give up the run a little bit more than they do the pass? Even though last week Jalen Ramsey was not involved as many plays because he had been dealing with a hip injury, but they limited him on purpose. It wasn't because of him saying I'm
Right.
hurting more, so limit me. It was more the coaching staff saying, "Hey, we got to take it easy on you because you're our $1 million baby
So
here."
if I'm the coordinator, which I'm not, I'm obviously some dude in
You
Chicago.
could be a coordinator.
But if I was like the Rams defensive coordinator, this is what I'm saying. Ramsey, you're staying on Hopkins no matter where he is. Slot, outside, inside, running back, quarterback, whatever. That is your man. And then I'm telling Aaron Donald, your man is Murray. You contain him or you hunt him down. And I think Donald could do that. And I think Hopkins being contained opens the door for Captain Kurt. It opens the door for Larry Fitzgerald. And I think these guys are going to have some pretty decent games against the secondary of the Rams. I don't think they're as strong, but I would start Kyle Murray if you have him. Start him this week. Like, I don't see why you can't start him against the Rams.
All right. So how do you feel about Drake this week? Drake or Edmonds?
I'm going to stick with Drake because Drake is getting more of the carries. He
Okay.
is the number 1 back. But once again, it falls under the thing of if Drake's not producing, then they're putting in Edmonds more.
Okay. So on the Rams side of the ball, all right, I'm calling Jared Goff the Riddler because what he does doesn't make sense the week after on how he plays.
Makes
Good
sense.
example. Week 5 against Washington, he scores 32 fantasy points, comes back out against San Francisco, scores sub 20, 18 points. Not horrible, but you expected a little bit more because at that point, San Francisco's D was really beat up. Their offensively was questionable. Mostert was already out on IR. Garoppolo was out on IR. This should have been a game where they just kind of manhandled and took over. He didn't do a lot. Week 11, fast forward to week 11 against Tampa Bay. And what was a shootout and a very offensive-friendly game, he scores 33 fantasy points. Comes back again, ironically, against San Francisco, and does even worse by only scoring 2 fantasy points.
Yep.
So this is the riddle part. So now we have a divisional opponent with Arizona, and Arizona Cardinals defense can be beat. If you're on the edge of making the playoffs or not, can you trust playing Goff this week?
That's tough.
Like
I would
if you
say
had
yes.
if you had better options out in the free agency, would you take those better options than using Goff?
Yes.
Depending on the matchup.
Like say
Yeah.
you had Tannehill out there in the free agency against Cleveland.
I would take Tannehill over Golf.
If Fitzpatrick was still out there and Tua doesn't play,
Golf over Cardinals. or Goff over Fitzpatrick.
Okay, because Miami's playing Cincinnati.
Like I would even do like David Carr over Goff against the Jets. Like I would take that shot this week.
I mean, regardless, like we talked about, like a quarterback, a fantasy quarterback can have a horrible day and he stinks up the point. But what he does for other players, they can still produce on good fantasy days. That's why I feel like Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp will still have decent games. Don't be afraid to play them against the Cardinals defense.
For sure.
They can be beat.
Yeah.
This is going to be a shootout.
Right. I don't feel like you can really here we are in week 13 and you still can't put a thumbprint on who the running back is.
Right.
Still.
No, for sure. I think Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods are in a groove now, and I think it's going to be like they have to win through the air. And I think it's going to be a shootout. I'm picking Arizona to win, so I'm saying start up all your Arizona guys. You can start Edmonds, you can start Drake. And I feel they're going to win out because they're going to stop the run of the Rams and have Goff and them beat them.
Yeah.
I still think they're going to have close to a good fantasy game. I mean, what do you expect from Goff? 20 points is a good fantasy game for him.
Yeah. But that's unless you're sitting pretty already going into the playoffs and you really need to win this week, I mean, you're going to be worried because you don't know what you're going to expect out of Goff. I'm going with Arizona this week.
I am also going with Arizona. Kyler Murray is a top 10 fantasy quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
He's proved it this year, minus the couple of little missteps that he's had and the injury that kind of set him back last week. But Kyler Murray is definitely a top 10 quarterback for the future, fantasy-wise.
Oh, for sure.
I think that they have just enough of the complement of weapons to help Kyler Murray to offset Aaron Donald and what the defense is going to do, especially with the weak secondary in for the Rams.
Look, if you look at it like, okay, so the changing of the guard, right? You got Rodgers, Breeze, and Brady is the old. Then you have Mahomes, Murray, Jackson is the new coming in. That's how I feel the changing of the guard is happening with your generation.
But you know what? Like not to really step on that premise. There's more than three because you got the quarterback from Buffalo, you got Herbert, you got Murray, Big Tuna. So like that third generation of quarterbacks are going to be knocking on that door of Mahomes and Lamar and Deshaun real soon.
Yeah, and
if not next year.
Like they're proving themselves right now. Like, okay, so Herbert has come out of the gate blasted with 2 barrels of shotgun fun here, but next year could be different. He could fall into a sophomore slump. You don't know. He could fall to injury, blah, blah, blah. But the future looks bright for Herbert, Yeah. And like you said, Josh Allen is great. This is his 3rd year in the league. He's looked phenomenal, but he's barely cracking top 10 among fantasy quarterbacks. I'm talking like when you look at the elite, your top 5 quarterbacks or like right there, these 3 guys come to mind because they're mobile. They throw a ton. Well, I will argue with the Jackson side right there because unless it's short passes to Mark Andrews or anybody in a quick route, he's running more than he's passing. But what we've seen on Mahomes, we already know. The second year of Murray is what you wanted to see, that jump. Because the first year was the stumble. It's what you expect out of your rookie quarterbacks. And what Cliff Kingsbury's doing with this offense and how he has worked with Murray is why I think he's propelled higher now. And so next year when you look at drafts, Murray could easily be that top 3 quarterback. If he finishes out the remainder of the season really strong like he has started off, then yeah.
I look at it like this. The NFL, as far as like fantasy-wise, has gone in phases. So the last couple years, it's been wide receivers. Earlier than that, it's been running backs. Fantasy was big as far as like, I need to get my running back early, first pick, all that stuff. Now it's wide receivers, and it's kind of moved over to tight ends, but it seems that the cycle is going back to quarterbacks. Now, like, we finally have a crop of quarterbacks in the league that are really good, not just NFL-wise, but fantasy-wise as well. Mm-hmm. There's at least a good top 15 quarterbacks in the league that within between the next maybe 5 years, these guys can be all moving around as far as top 5 guys, because like you said, like Tom Brady's only got a couple years left. Drew Brees is probably done after this year, or maybe one more year. You know what I mean?
You never know. And if Rodgers is cut by the Packers, he may not be done still. He may still have a couple more years, and he might find himself with a team who's thriving for a veteran quarterback to get him to the promised land. But they know it's not a full time, gig.
I know this is only week 13, and we should be kind of more geared towards week 13. But if you look at the fantasy landscape within the next 5 years, it's going to be totally different. And the quarterbacks that are going to be leading your fantasy teams are going to be 10 times better than they are now. And they're going to be way more different than the standby, like the mainstays that are still sprinkled about the leagues now.
Right, because the biggest thing is that now more quarterbacks are mobile.
Yeah.
They're running more. The days of the pocket pass are far and few between now.
Right.
So that's what it is. So, all right. Arizona's sweep. What do we got next, Moose?
Browns and Titans.
What?
Browns and Titans.
This is going to be a tough one. So let's start on the Cleveland side of the ball here. You got 2 elite running backs in tandem that both
Thunder and Lightning.
Right? Thunder, lightning.
Yeah, you got to start the Chubbs. You got to start the Hunt.
Start the Hunts and the Chubbs. The Hunts for Chubbs.
You got to start Henry.
Right? Got to start Henry.
There's your big 3 running backs.
Landry had a wonderful performance last week against Jacksonville. And, well, you're shuddering about Landry's game?
I'm saying
The guy they got.
Jacksonville.
Right. It was Jacksonville.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that Tennessee's secondary is – I mean, it's slightly better than Jacksonville, but I feel
what kind of level of special is Tennessee's secondary?
What do you mean?
What kind of special? Is it
I mean, they have Malcolm Butler, who did the interception against the Seahawks to win the Super Bowl. So you got that there.
Mhm.
They went out and they traded for Deshaun King II from the Chargers, who was ranked the top 5 cornerback the last 2 years. So they went out to get cornerback help.
Right.
My thing is, if you shut down Landry,
Mm-hmm.
what happens to your offense?
Well, I mean, it's the offense is pretty much predicated on the run and the run pass. The short game, right? That's why Landry is still their slot receiver,
Right,
Rashad Higgins on the outside, and then throw in a little dust of Hooper or whatever,
Yeah, I think Hooper's going to be very underrated, very looked over this weekend. I don't think he should be.
But I will say this is also a Tennessee's defense that gave up 7 for 101 to rookie Michael Pittman when the Colts played him in Week 10. So if I had to take something out of this from what Landry can do, I could see 6 to 7 receptions for, say, 70 yards. And if you're lucky, he falls in the end zone.
Okay, quick question.
Yeah.
Do you like Rivers or Baker better? Who do you trust more? You're an NFL GM and you have to choose between Baker and Phillip Rivers.
Rivers.
Like for this year, not for the future. Obviously, you go to the younger guy, but for this year.
No, Rivers, because he's got
O-line. Would you like the Colts O-line or the Browns O-line better?
I kind of like the Browns O-line, no.
Okay.
But the Browns O-line seems to be more
run than pass.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
Right.
So the Jacksonville Jaguars get no pressure on Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield could go off with Landry. Now he goes against the Tennessee Titans D, where the front 7 is better than the back 4, which makes, when the front 7 is clicking, it makes their back 4 look better. So that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, I think you start the running backs. I think you could start Landry maybe as like a number 2 wide receiver. Mm-hmm. But after that, I wouldn't trust Baker Mayfield.
No, I wouldn't trust Baker Mayfield either. And I actually look at Landry as more of a flex appeal than he would be your wide receiver.
Like, he had 22 fantasy points last week because of the 2 touchdowns and the 258. But the teams that got pressure on him, they played the Eagles the week before, 5. They played Houston, where J.J. Watt, I think, had like 3 or 2 sacks on him. He had 5 against the Raiders, 7 against Cincinnati, 39. Pittsburgh, 7. So these teams, they got the pressure on him.
Yeah.
That offensive struggle. So
yeah,
very weary with the injury. don't start the Baker.
But Landry was a secondary option in those games, correct?
The Landry.
Well, I mean, the last 4 weeks was when what's his face has been gone.
Has it been 4 weeks now, or
It's
has it
been
been
4, and they had a bye.
longer?
So it's been 5 weeks since what's his face?
5 weeks removed since
OJ?
OJ gone
Yeah.
down.
OBJ?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, I just think that he's like
Yeah.
he's gonna get the main target share.
right.
So, you know,
Like,
while I wouldn't trust Baker Mayfield as a starter, I would definitely trust him to at least get Landry the ball, maybe a touchdown and maybe 100 to 120 yards, which is a good game for him.
I guess okay. So the question is, would you start Baker Mayfield or Jared Goff this week?
I would start Jared Goff.
Right. Like Landry.
But Landry's still going to get those points. It's
Right,
just
right.
like we were talking about with Robert Woods. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, they're still going to get the points whether you start Goff or not. You know what I mean? Because depending on
somebody needs to
so
catch
look,
the ball.
the Cleveland Browns are ranked 15th best defense in the NFL as of week 12. They're the 15th best defense in the NFL,
Right. So the
and they
one
have an
spot
8-win
below the
record.
middle of the pack.
Right. We laughed about them last week. Remember, we were just jokingly about how we were going to be discussing them in the playoffs. I don't know if it was on the show or if it was in the group chat.
That was you.
Yeah.
I called them the lowly Browns.
But look at them. They're what? They're 8-3, right?
Dude, that's their
8-3?
first since 07.
Right. They're first. They're going to be in the playoffs. You know what I mean? And they're going up against a really good Titans team.
Yeah.
So, you know, we laugh, but I say that to say this, like jokingly, this is going to be a really good game.
Yeah. I mean, and it's going to be a great test to see if the Browns are real. Like if they could
Definitely.
compete, let's say they compete with Tennessee and lose, but it's a very close game, it's a very exciting game, and they're hanging with them, then there's going to be some legitimacy. I mean, but if they come out in Tennessee, like, let's say hypothetically it's like 10-7 at half, and you're like, wow, the Browns are in it, and then Tennessee's like 34-10, like,
Right.
I'm going to tell you this. If Derrick Henry has the game this week that he had last week, then the Browns ain't shit.
yeah.
No. Yeah, for real. So,
Yeah. So,
with that being said,
like, I think you can start all running backs confidently.
For sure.
Landry, I think you could start him because he's going to get the value.
AJ?
Well, A.J. Brown was practiced today with the knee,
mhm.
but this was the first time he missed practice this week. So I'm hoping A.J. starts because then that's a great start for you. Juju Smith has missed 3 days in a row now of practice. So that,
Fire up Anthony Frisker.
yeah, there goes my freaking 0 points, which, you know, if I knew that, I would have beat you last week.
If my aunt had
Shoulda, woulda,
balls, she'd be my
coulda.
uncle.
If and nuts were candies and butts.
Hey, you know, that's the one thing that I'm going to say that I hate about fantasy football is that, you know, they know that we play. They try to get the injury reports out, but you can't say that a freaking player is playing and he's playing and he's playing and he's playing. And then the game starts and then you're like, we decided now he's not going to play.
Mm.
That was Shiesty McDicey.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah.
Um,
You should
all, I
got
gotta say, all I gotta say.
Tennessee or Browns this week.
That's what I gotta say.
I hate to say it, but I agree. I'm gonna go with Tennessee. I just think, even though they have the two-headed monster over there, there's no in Cleveland.
Yeah.
There might not be anybody on the outside receiver-wise to help alleviate that pressure, so Tennessee can kind of stack the box and try to take one of those guys away. I think if A.J. Brown plays, definitely Tennessee. But Derrick Henry, I hate to agree with Jay like on 2 things in a row, but Derrick Henry is the best late season running back in the league. So he's like, this is the part of the year where Derrick Henry is about to start taking over.
Yeah.
If it's anything like he did last year, then Jesus, fantasy guys, look out.
I'm going with Tennessee. I like the quarterback situation better, and I think when push comes to shove, when they need that big play, I think Tannehill will prove it more than Baker.
Yeah, normally this is where I would kind of like go against the grain against you guys and pick the Browns, but I gotta agree though, we're in a to come off the win against the Colts, against a tough Colts defense, what they did.
Yeah.
Man, we
right
thought
there.
they were going to lose that game.
I called Titans. That should have been my game, so I called it. But whatever. Well, give me a half
Yeah,
point
all
for
right,
that.
all right, all
Yeah,
right.
yeah. But yeah, give me the Titans as well.
Okay, so we're all on schedule again.
All right, what do we got next?
For anybody. The Saints and the Falcons.
Oh, man, really?
I saw the whole schedule this week. This is probably one of the best matchups. That is the worst matchups. Yeah, nothing about it is nice, I guess.
If
I mean,
Drew
the only
Brees was
good thing-
playing,
Dude, I mean, Saints are winning with Hill, man. They're proving a way to win, and
they're winning despite Hill.
oh, you think so?
Oh, yeah. Look, if Brees was playing this week, this would be a blowout. We wouldn't even be talking about it. But
Yeah,
And
no,
Alvin
for sure.
Kamara, was still kind of banged up. You know what I mean? So
I think that's his
Leviticus-
worst.
Is Taysom Hill Alvin Kamara's kryptonite?
No. Yes.
And
yes.
the two starts with Taysom
Yes.
Hill. Alvin Kamara has yet to finish in the top 5 of running backs that he has been from week to week. Now, if Jameis Winston was in a quarterback, I think Kamara would still have a lead role. It would still be being passed to him, but Taysom Hill runs the ball as well.
Right, that's what I'm going to get at.
T2.
So he started the last 2 weeks. Kamara has 10.5 points and a 6.2. His receptions have been targeted 1 time for 0 catches. And then last week was targeted 2 times for 1. When Drew Brees was in against San Fran, he was targeted 8 times. Tampa Bay 6. Against Chicago 13. Is he his kryptonite? I don't think so, but I think, once again, it doesn't matter how skilled you are. It comes down to the coaching staff of what they want to do.
Yeah.
Well,
In the
We
past,
had-
hey, Drew Brees is not going to run it. He's dumping it off. Now they're like, hey, you see an opening, run it.
yeah, but I mean, if you want to take that logic, Leviticus had a phenomenal game. So I could kind of agree with Steve where maybe because he was slightly injured or banged up, I should say, not injured, because around this time of the year, everyone in the league is kind of banged up.
Mm-hmm.
But because Kamara was banged up last week and Leviticus had the game that he had, I would maybe it's a wait and see approach, like Steve normally likes to say. Maybe like it's a wait and see. Let's see what happens this week. But if Alvin Kamara has another bad game because of Taysom Hill,
I mean, the problem with that being is that because Alvin Kamara is Alvin Kamara, you can't just sit him.
no, I agree.
You're going
No,
to
no,
play him.
yeah.
And with the playoffs coming up, and with Drew Brees still sidelined,
Yeah, I mean,
you're
they
still
played
gonna
Atlanta a
ke-
week ago.
you're still going to continue to put Alvin Kamara out there. Now, if he happens to cost you a playoff game because of this, like, do you just chalk it up to be like, well, I mean, it's a no-brainer. You don't get cute in situations like this. So I'll ask you, Moose, as a person who's been playing fantasy football for a lot of years and who has won championships, what do you do in a situation where when you've seen back-to-back weeks of where they've basically taken the food out of the man's mouth and now you're coming up to the playoffs? Because going forward after Atlanta, they get Philadelphia, KC, Minnesota. These are playoff games. Minnesota
Yeah.
is a beautiful game for Alvin Kamara. KC's the tough matchup there where you know they're going to be in a shootout. Now, whether or not that Taysom Hill can shoulder all that weight of continually throwing the ball, they're going to need Kamara in that game. Philadelphia, yeah, they got a tough defense, but I mean, week 14 is realistically the start of the playoffs.
Right, so what are you asking then?
Like, how confident would you still feel
You
about
got-
Kamara, or would you
gotta be
start looking,
confident.
or would you start trying to look elsewhere?
Nothing has changed other than his receptions went down. Like, people don't understand that. They think that he's a great running back. He's a great receiver that plays
Receiving
running
back, yeah.
His
I think
total-
that if you were
his totals
I'm sorry.
are still. I'm sorry. Like he's still at 11, 12, 13 carries. That's not changing. The only difference is these 6 catches he's getting for 50 yards and a touchdown
Right.
are no longer there because Taysom Hill now is carrying the ball 6 times for 50 yards. like Latavius Murray, his running hasn't changed either. He's still getting the same amount of carries the whole season. He's still getting targeted the same amount. Like that's literally the only difference is Kamara is now not getting the receptions.
Mm-hmm.
However, Kamara is so good enough that he could get one catch and take it to the house. And I feel that is why you have to start him. Sorry, Elliot, continue.
No, I keep changing the guy's name. I call him Leviticus twice. But
You were calling him Latvius, Leviticus. It's
I like
all
Latvius.
good.
I like Latvius.
But yeah, no, I'm going back to Latvius. I hope I just didn't forget my point. No. I remember. If you were smart when Breeze went down, if he was available, you handcuffed him. You went and got Latvius if he was available in your leagues.
Yeah.
That's the play right now. It's like you said. It's not that Kamara's not getting the play. He's not getting the run plays called for him. It's his passes, his receptions are less now.
Yeah.
So now he's not so much of a dual threat as he would normally be because, like you said, Taysom Hill is running the ball, and now they're giving Latvius more play, probably because Kamara's banged up a little bit.
Yeah, and to answer Jay's question, I don't think it's that Woodson's bad. It's just I believe that Hill knows the system way more, and Sean Payton trusts Hill more than he trusts Watson.
And they're waiting for the surgery to heal up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, from the bionic eye.
the LASIK.
Probably the hip and the crab.
The eye surgery.
So, I mean,
I'm going with the Saints. I feel that I think the Falcons are another team that are hitting reset. I think Matty Ice may be out the door, even though he's on contract. I think they want to start fresh. Todd Gurley's coming back, so that's why you don't start Hill, you don't start Edel Smith. You start the Gurley. Jones is questionable.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely start up start up Ridley. I mean,
Calvin.
Yeah, Calvin. I'm sorry, I think I said Ridley twice for the running back and the wide receiver. But I don't know. It all runs through Matt.
What's the word on Gore? I mean, not Gore, but here we go, messing up names. Gurley
starting. He's at 100%.
Because he's still listed. They were still talking about him questionable, like limited participation. He didn't practice today, so.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's just him taking the breather.
Right.
They fired their head coach, and they've gone, and the Falcons have gone on a winning streak. While I don't trust that just could be the buffer of, hey, this guy's finally not here anymore.
Right.
I'm gonna go with the Saints.
And it's really funny. I've been reading some reports that the interim coach for the Falcons came out and publicly said that it wasn't. I forget the old head coach's name. That it wasn't his fault. That he thinks that he kind of got screwed in this job because he's kind of seeing where the organization is going and how they're kind of like sticking their hands and everything.
Right.
So I wondered, did he not get players he wanted? Did he not was able to coach a certain way? Like Jerry Jones, where he's always like, I want this guy instead of this guy because I'd rather make this splash or that splash.
Right.
Which is really weird because I know that the owner of the Falcons is coveted as one of the best owners in like the NFL.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's really scary. Like, I don't know, touching Atlanta players that are not for sure people like Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones is really scary. Like, this is my third week sitting Matt Ryan. So it's been paying off for me.
All right. Let's see.
Get ready, everybody. He's about to do something stupid.
And that stupid is picking the Falcons this week.
Okay.
Wow.
I hope you have Flexio for your boat when it sinks.
Listen, if Julio's in,
like he said it so like cool and underneath his breath, like I hope you get a safety when that boat when it
son
sinks.
of a bitch.
I want the goddamn pizza, bro.
What do you got for us next, Mr. Flex Seal?
Who did Elliot pick?
Elliot picked the Saints.
I picked the Saints.
Oh, cool,
Yeah.
cool.
I purposely wait for you guys to talk and blah 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 and put your picks in, and
I'm gonna get
a little stupid drop in for try comedic purposes,
I like it. No,
right?
I like it.
Oh yeah, That's what I'm hearing.
I was like, wait a
Do
minute,
stupid
what's the
things
time?
and say stupid things. I'm all about the
All right,
people.
all right. The
Open
last
mouth,
game-
insert foot.
Last game is going to be the best one.
Mm-hmm.
The Bears and the Lions.
Woohoo!
Come on!
Little black and blue division, new coaches. Trubisky coming back against the only team he could beat.
New coaches, like one new coach.
Well, I mean, Nagy's not the offensive coordinator.
Listen, to paraphrase an old saying from our partner Elliot, is that the Lions are going to line, and then Trubisky always plays his best against the Lions.
So are you going with the Lions?
Yeah. Bears. Just give me the Bears.
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 I'm going with the Bears, and I had mentioned in a group chat earlier, but I guess Dave Wanstead had mentioned on the radio here in Chicago that the reason why Patricia was continuing to play man defense against the Bears, even though that's the one defense that Trubisky can see very well and pick apart, is because he just doesn't have the personnel to run any other kind of defense. And because of the injuries that they have in Detroit, you don't trust those guys to run those type of plays. Now, I would expect to see in this game where there might be one or two plays, maybe on third downs, where they look like they're going to run man and they switch into a zone. But that's just something that you can't teach outright, especially just after firing your coach. So I would expect the Bears to finally get right. So,
Yeah.
There's some kind of info to back it up.
Yeah.
We have a question from Good 7. Todd Gurley or Damian Harris this week? I'm going with Gurley.
If he's healthy enough to play and he suits
Yes.
up, then definitely Gurley. It's too hard to trust a New England running back. Listen,
I mean,
you have no Rex Burkhead. Rex Burkhead is done for the season, and yet last week against the Cardinals, Harris barely scratched the surface
he had
fantasy-wise.
14 attempts for 47 yards. But once again, I think this was all riding on Cam Newton's shoulders. He hasn't been that not productive. It's just he's not consistent.
You're correct. It's not consistent because when you have two back-to-back double-digit fantasy points and then go up against a Cardinals defense that gives up enough to the run for you to have a productive fantasy day, yet you only pull in under 5 points.
You played the Buffalo Bills, which is a better defense than the Jets, and you put up 21 points. But then against the Jets, you put up 7. Then you go up against a tough Baltimore defense, 17. An easy Houston defense, 12. An easy Arizona defense, 4.
And I think that falls on Belichick and how the gameplay, how he's viewing the play of the game,
right,
and where he goes from there. And he's like, listen, if he scripts Newton for 15 to 20 carries in that game, then so be it.
Right.
Let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, so I would say start Gurley over Harris.
Yeah.
I think Carolina is kind of like we made the right call when we made the right call.
Bourbon, brother. Crack another beer.
No, I'm good, but I just think that I think that Carolina, when they let go of Jesus, I can't remember. I'm horrible with names.
Cam Newton.
Cam Newton. Yeah, when they let go of Cam Newton, they're kind of now, yeah, man, we made the right decision to let him go. Let him go because he's not. Look, at Belichick is a fantastic coach. You can't take anything away from him. But even with Cam Newton, for 1 year, they're not. Cam Newton is not even nowhere close to what expectations were of him in that offense.
Yeah, I don't think Cam likes that offense, and that's what the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Cam could run it, and Belichick's like, I'm not changing.
Cam is putting out his own personal video for scouts to look at him.
He's just showing that, hey, I'm healthy, my arm can still throw.
Because there's no guarantee that the Patriots re-sign him next year. He's on a 1-year tender. That's it.
Yeah, and the Patriots actually have a winning record, so are they going to try to get, not a winning record, but a decent record? They're 5-6. I mean, they're literally 3 games. They're the third team out of the wild card.
Right.
So if they were Tanksville to get the best rookie quarterback,
then they would be. But I don't think Belichick has it in him to just be a tanking type of team.
Yeah.
But anyways, We ain't talking about Patriots. We're talking about Bears Lions,
Yeah. Well, I mean, what more do you want to talk about?
right?
Like, I mean, do you start Stafford over the Bears?
I just want to know who you're picking. You never told me who you're
Oh,
picking.
I said the Bears.
All right,
I went,
Elliot.
Bears. That's why I went Bears.
I'm picking the Bourbons. Oh, I mean the Bears.
Wonderful. And that wraps up our 4 games
Yeah.
for the deep dish.
And I mean, if you're going with the Bears, come on, guys. I mean, if you're desperate, start Trubisky.
I will say that
I mean, it's a new head
Montgomery
coach,
has
so
the best line for the upcoming games for
Allen
playing.
Robinson.
Like I was,
Darnell Mooney in a flex.
Yeah, start Mooney, start Robinson. I think you could start Montgomery.
listen. Montgomery showed last week that the Packers don't care about the run. So hence he had a great game against the Packers. Now he gets Detroit. Then they play Houston. Houston doesn't give 2 craps about the run there. They give up the 3rd most fantasy points to opposing running backs. Then they go back to Minnesota. And remember that Minnesota game is when he got knocked out early because of the concussion. So this will be a redemption for him to run. Then they get Jacksonville in week 16. So if you happen to see Montgomery out in your free agency, or if this is the final week for trading and you want to target a running back, wouldn't you agree this could be a guy you could target?
For my team, oh, hell yes. I would love Montgomery compared to what I have on my team. However, like realistically, he had that one big breakout against Green Bay. He had that 60-yarder or whatever.
Yes, I will agree with you that the evidence against him outweighs what he did against Green Bay.
If he was a little bit more fleet of foot, he would have been in the end zone.
And if the Bears were more fleet of foot of anything else, they would have scored within the 10, like they did after that drive.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. I'm taking, if you're looking at matchup potential going forward, Detroit, Houston, Minnesota, Jacksonville.
Sure.
You're setting yourself up, right?
And you're hoping that
And
he
if he produces another good week against Detroit, can you then now trust him going forward in week 14, 15, 16 for your fantasy playoffs?
Like, I'm just going to play devil's advocate. Week 1 against Detroit, he only had 8. New York Giants, 21. Atlanta, which was beatable, 7. And then he was averaging about 11 points. Tennessee, 4. He missed Minnesota. So he's averaging about 10 points. And that's against teams that he could have had more fantasy.
That's flex appeal numbers.
Right. So, I mean, in theory, yes, the matchups are great. And you would love to see him in that 20-digit things.
Yeah.
However, is the Bears offense going to allow him to do that? That's all what it comes down to. Is it going to be 9 carries this game? Or like he had 11 carries, 14, 21, 14, 19, 10, 10. Like, if he gets over 15 carries, he's good for over like 15 fantasy points.
It's our show, Jay. We can filibuster as much as we want. Fine.
Well, but that's the thing. He needs the workload. He's one of those running backs that needs the workload to get
Exactly.
higher fantasy points.
Yes.
And the Bears have not proven that they can do anything in the run game to justify giving him 15 to 20
Right.
carries.
Like, I love the matchups. You see those matchups on paper, and you're
Yeah,
like,
no, juicy matchup.
yeah, let's do it. It's scary because, I mean, we've been watching the Bears all season.
Mm-hmm.
We're deep fans of the Bears.
It's 2 years. It's last year and this year.
You know, so it's like
the same shit.
it sucks because it's like as fans and as fantasy owners, we are now like, man, you burned us before, even though the matchups are great. So it's once again, is this going to happen? Is this still the same trend?
Right.
But
Right.
I mean, if you could get him for cheap, if you could pick him up out of free agency, I say
Listen,
do it.
Inquiring minds want to know. That's why I ask these questions.
I like acquiring.
Thank
minds.
you. Thank you. All right. Las Vegas, New York Jets. Everyone's going to stream the Raiders defense this week, right?
Yeah, I mean that's one of the hottest pickups.
All right. Anybody from the New York Jets sides that you would even consider being flex worthy?
Mims.
Mm-hmm. He's been heating up. Perriman's been doing great. The Chowda, though,
I was just gonna say
kind of
that-
get left in
Did
the
you see I
wind.
dropped him in the league to
I
pick
did.
up Mims?
I did.
My nose, the chowder smelled a little burnt.
Was it getting a little itchy?
It smelled a little burnt. It was good in the
Right.
beginning.
Wasn't that powder, was it? But it was the Chowda.
It's a powder. Yeah, and I mean, I really like Jacobs in this matchup. If he plays, that'd be wonderful. If that ankle is healed enough. But I think you could start Ruggs. I think you could start Renfro. You could start Aguilar, Waller. Yeah, I think it's going to be a really good passing game.
Yeah.
Like I said, even you're streaming Derek Carr.
Dude, what
Sorry,
did
sorry.
the pen just
Are
tell
you
you?
drinking bourbon too?
Oh, my pen.
He's
was
drinking
talking.
life, my friend. He's drunk on life.
The pen was so excited when I said Carr's name. I'm just saying it's a sign.
Oh, premature pen drop. All right.
The pen always speaks.
I don't think there's much more we can talk about that game. I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is. So, anyways, Jacksonville, Minnesota.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's knock out another easy one.
Another one. Listen, you're starting James Robinson. If DJ Chark is healthy this week and he's going to start, you start him because, listen,
He's a good.
Lennon is going to have to throw to
Yeah.
somebody, and he's a really good wide receiver.
It's like in Washington, we always talk about how like they have nobody but Scary Terry.
Mhm.
So you're starting Scary Terry every week because you know he's going to get
Yep.
those 10 targets. Because I mean, other than that, Jacksonville's tanking. You heard in our news.
Yeah, you have Chenault and you have DJ Chark, and right now
Yeah, and
Chenault is not really.
He's been banged
Chenault's
up a
kind of
little.
trending down. Yeah.
Mhm. Absolutely.
I mean, he missed 2 weeks, 3 weeks technically, because I don't count Houston because he was only in there for like a minute or two. But he came back last week against Cleveland, was targeted 4 times. So I think they're slowly working him back in. But if you're not having Gardner Minshew, who could stretch the plays out, who I think he doesn't have the arm strength, but he's accurate, more accurate than every quarterback he got. You know, they're tanking.
Yeah.
So it's one of those like, okay, so you're tanking the defense. They traded everybody away. Like you start Cousins, you're definitely starting Cook.
yeah.
You know, you're definitely
On the Vikings,
Starting Jefferson.
you're starting Captain Kirk, you're starting Cook, you're starting Jefferson.
Adam Thielen's back.
Adam Thielen's back. Listen, Jefferson is still leading all rookies with receptions and yardage. He's only second behind Claypool in touchdowns. But regardless,
Who's the young running back that they have over there too?
Madison, but they're not
Madison.
really using Madison. They're beating the hell out of Cook, giving him 30 touches per game for a guy who 2 years in a row now has gotten injured and re-injured over lower leg injuries because of how much they've been using him.
Yeah.
And when they get in these situations where they're up big, they refuse to give the ball to Madison. So if you're the owner of Madison and Cook, you're fine. Sit tight. This is why you have a security blanket just in case.
Yeah.
If you're the opposite, where you're the one half of a piece, you still got to hold on to Madison because fantasy playoffs are here and anything could happen.
I know it's week 13. I should probably know this, but did Cook sign that big deal?
He signed.
Or is he still on?
No, he's on. They
He's
did
on the tag, no?
Yeah, it was like a tag, and so they're gonna.
Do you think they're running him to the ground to release him?
No,
It doesn't matter. I think Minnesota was going to do that anyway, whether he was signed or he was on the franchise tag, because they feel like his value is the same as Christian McCaffrey's, and they're just going to run him until they run him into a Super Bowl. And unfortunately, they just don't have the continuity on their offense and defense to get there. They may make a wild card, but I don't see them going any more than the second week of the playoffs.
Yeah, they lost way too much this offseason in the secondary and on that front line for them to be relevant.
Yeah,
because that's what they were always about. They were like great on defense, get pressure on the quarterback, clock management with the run, and then the quarterbacks are just there to game management.
Mm-hmm. Now you don't have that, so but
I like Kirk Cousins this week. You have him, or you can stream him just like
fire him up. All right, another one we could blaze right through: Cincinnati, Miami. Listen, I don't think Gadsden's coming back again this week. Ahmed's still out. The idea of the tuna possibly starting. Listen, if Fitzmagic is ready to go,
this is a disgusting game.
This is so disgusting. I'm surprised you didn't pick this game.
I swear I thought you were going to pick this game.
I picked Miami and the Bengals like
Brandon,
3 times.
Brandon Allen was so bad that I'm surprised they just didn't throw Finley in there for the last 2 minutes to give him a little warm up for next week against Miami.
Like, I don't want to touch any running back.
The only thing that you like best about this is the Dolphins defense.
I was going to say that.
And Devontae Parker.
Shoot, I would even say the Bengals defense this week.
Okay, now here's the thing. If Tua is playing, you kind of like the Bengals defense because Tua's still not – he's still trying to find his way. And this is what's going to hurt the Devontae Parker owners, the Mike Gesicki owners. Or listen, last week, Fitzpatrick threw both the touchdown to Gesicki and to
Booker?
No, former Bears tight end.
Yeah. Oh, what is his name?
Adam Shaheen.
Adam Shaheen, yeah.
Booker, like we talked about last week, that with Fitzpatrick has 18 plus fantasy points per game. Parker. Did I say Booker again?
Dude.
Damn, you guys are getting in my head.
Can I stop you for a second?
I said Parker. I meant to say Parker,
Yeah,
but I said
I'm like,
Booker.
dude, are you thinking of like Marty?
No,
Booker?
I said Booker. I said
He said
Devontae Booker.
Booker.
Can I stop you for a second?
Go right
Do
ahead.
you in garbage news? Do you know? I'm pretty sure you guys do because we're all informed. These guys gave Adam Shaheen a new contract,
Yeah, they did.
a very expensive contract for a tight end that has no proof of concept. Like, all right, I'm gonna get off myself.
No,
You done?
No, it's true. It's true because they both like they say that Shaheem and Gesicki are like they want to do what the Patriots did with Aaron Hernandez,
And they could.
And, yeah,
They
because
could
of
very
the
well.
size.
Look what happened to Greg Olson when the Bears sent him to Carolina.
Yeah, but okay, but no, you can't compare Adam Shaheen
And-
to Greg Olson.
No, I'm not comparing. I'm just saying the difference. A different home
Oh, right.
makes
right,
a
right.
player
Yeah,
play differently
yeah.
and do different things because the head coach at the time for the Bears didn't want to utilize Olsen what his skill set was for. Because let's think logic here.
Hold on. Don't.
Don't
Hold on.
bring it.
Lovie Smith loved Olsen. Mike Martz didn't like Olsen.
That's what I'm talking about.
Our O coordinator.
Right. And so when Martz was like, get rid of him, what did the Bears do? They listened. They got rid of him.
I'm just saying we
You
should
can
bring
say
back
One of
all
the
more.
worst decisions they made.
Anyways,
Bring back the Lovie.
can you trust any of the Bengals wide receivers this week? Hmm?
I mean,
Who's the
Giovanni
quarterback again?
Bernard?
Pickens was 4 for 4 for a touchdown.
Yeah. You like that?
Do
You
I?
like that?
He only had 30 yards. Tyler Boyd was targeted 8 times. He had 2 catches for
I
15.
know. It killed me. I lost to you because of that. Maybe. Among other things.
Yeah, I don't think Cincinnati has anybody that's going to be fantasy relevant this week.
Okay.
I think maybe Giovanni Bernard, maybe.
That's even getting
Flex.
ugly.
That's desperate mode.
Ugly. All right, moving on. We have Indianapolis versus Houston.
Very intriguing.
Colts defense, 20 points.
You're playing Watson, man.
You made that move, right?
I picked up the Colts defense.
I mean, Deshaun Watson. I mean, check New England 40 points last week against Detroit. 46 points
That's Detroit.
against Green Bay. 33 against Tennessee. 45 against Jacksonville. 35.
There's no.
I'm trying to see if they played the Colts. That's all I was just trying to say.
He's just reading all night. Oh man, these hits keep getting better and better. Maybe I made a bad choice.
I think Colts win, yes, if that's what you're going with.
Mhm.
But I still think there's some firepower. I think you could start Watson. I think you could start Cook this week.
Listen,
QT.
David Johnson's still 3 weeks away from even returning. Duke Johnson hasn't shown anything.
Yeah, Duke Johnson's
Watson has been
Dookie.
doing it all on his own, but yet Fuller has been the benefit of everything. Cooks has rarely been spotted. You have, like you said, you have Cobb and Stills on IR. I swear they released Stills.
No, they're on air.
All right. So now you have
Same
PPT.
thing.
So here's the same thing. So, okay, so Watson's going to be running his butt off. He's going to be finding somebody to throw to.
So Brandon Cooks, 5 targets the last 2 games, 4 catches, 5, both for 85 yards. That's super weird. And no touchdowns.
Mhm.
So what I saw watching the Texans and what I saw from, because I was a Fuller owner, was like it looks like Brandon Cooks is like the go-to guy, and then they fall behind, or they're trying to secure the win, and then Watson just goes deep to Fuller, deep passes. Like Fuller had nothing in this Detroit game until the third quarter, when he caught 2 bombs, and one of them was a touchdown.
Mhm.
But both plays were over 30 yards, and now here's his 60 yards and a touchdown.
Right.
So I think that's what's going to hurt the Texans is having that big playability. But I could see more scrambling, and I could see them being like quick slants. And I think Brandon Cooks goes from 5 catches to 7 catches,
Okay.
8 catches, 85 yards to maybe 100 yards.
All right.
Kiki will maybe get 5 to 6. So I wouldn't count this offense
Little
out,
Kiki.
but I think the Colts defense is good enough to contain them.
I think this is going to be a tough matchup for Watson to try to do a whole lot against this Colts defense, which is granted they got burned by Tennessee, but I think they're going to bounce back from this and have a far better game because throughout the season, the Colts have been playing magnificently.
Yeah.
I mean, up until last week, I think their lowest scoring game was in week 4, if I believe. I'm just waiting for my computer's just rolling and nothing right now.
And what? I'm sorry, you're talking about the Colts defense?
Colts defense.
Yeah, so they've been their worst game of the season was against Tennessee last week.
Right.
They put up 45
But
points.
before that, what would have been their worst game?
Worst game would have been week 6 against Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Because they put up 27 points.
I expect them to bounce back from this and be a very tough matchup for the Texans and Watson.
Once again, if you're looking for a streaming quarterback as well, Phillip Rivers.
Well, yeah,
I don't
because
trust the wide receivers.
this
but
Houston defense no
Yeah.
longer has their best cornerback. He's gone. He's out for 6 weeks as well for
And
PEDs.
I think it turns to now Phillip Rivers is like, I'm just giving the ball to whoever's open, and I'm not targeting
Mhm.
a certain player. And, I mean, the last 3 weeks, it was 23, 27, 21. And, I mean, if you're talking about streaming a quarterback for the rest of the season, he's got Houston, and if you're in the playoffs, Raiders, Houston, and then Pittsburgh if you're in the Super Bowl.
Who do you trust more, T.Y. Hilton or Michael Pittman?
Hilton.
Okay.
I would say Hilton because I watched some of the games, and Rivers is trying to get him the ball.
Yeah.
He's
No, it's always
definitely
been
trying-
there.
yeah.
He's just been double covered. It's been a lot of bad
And
matchups.
It's just so bad to like watch. Like, I mean, Michael Pittman was targeted 9 times, and he only caught 2 balls. And watching the game, he dropped like 5 of those. Like, it hit him in the hand.
Anthony Miller numbers right
Right,
there.
but it was everybody. It was Pascal. It was even T.Y. Hilton.
Mhm.
Like, holy crap, these guys! Like, if they were just to hold on to
So
the
the
ball,
old man was putting a little zip on it, wasn't he?
Hey, if he was a tight end,
No,
I'm just
even the
saying.
tight ends. Like, I watched Burton drop 3 third-down passes that were like, all he had to do was just hold on to the ball and just fall straight to the ground.
Well, Burton's never really been known for his hands anyway, so. All right. Here comes a game in the beginning of the afternoon. It's the G-Men versus the Seahawks. 4-7 versus 8-3. If Daniel Jones does not play, fire up Colt McCoy, right? Yeah.
But
let's do it.
I don't think he's
No.
playing. So you got to start up Colt McCoy.
put the
I'm
6-shooter away.
I was being
Oh, hell yeah.
joke facetiously speaking.
Dude, Colt McCoy.
Meow.
Colt McCoy has been very underrated in his
Right.
NFL career.
But okay, so let's say Colt McCoy does start. Is there anybody other than Gallman who you could really play you could take advantage of the Seahawks defense?
Yeah, you start Shepard.
I was going to say Shepard.
You start Slayton.
Okay.
They didn't do like Shepard still got targeted 8 times. The only person was Darius Slayton that was only had 2 targets, but Shepard was still targeted 8 times for 7 catches, I believe. Hold on. Yeah, 8 catches for 7 or 8 targets, 7 catches, 64 yards.
Okay,
And
I'm
the
just
Giants
asking.
I'm just saying, like, Colt McCoy is an actual.
He is an actual
backup, yeah.
good backup quarterback. He's one of those types of like your Josh McCowns of the league
Yeah.
where you want him on the bench just in case.
And if you have I'm sorry, not Mark Ingram. Evan Ingram.
Evan Ingram.
Boy, were you happy last week. 9 targets, 6 for 127.
He was going to be part of my locked and loaded, but I thought that was still too obvious given the Bengals defense how bad they are.
I could see a repeat against the Seahawks. I think this may be a shootout,
The,
but
the
I
Seahawks defense
It's
is exploitable.
definitely a shootout.
If you watch that Monday night game, Richard Rodgers caught that ridiculous Hail Mary throw. And it just shows you that they don't really have a plan for tight ends, but they know how to stop wide receivers.
well, I mean that was a lucky catch though.
They're all lucky catches.
No, I mean like realistically,
Well, Hail Mary, yeah, that's very.
yeah,
well,
the guy batted it to his
All
hands.
Hail Mary catches are lucky.
No.
Yes. You have some skill
Look
set.
at Richard Rodgers' catch when Aaron Rodgers threw it to Detroit. He let all the cornerbacks jump up first. He jumped up after them. He had the height advantage, and he got the ball at the highest point, and he scored the touchdown.
Richard Rodgers scored a touchdown from Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, you don't
It was
remember
It was
that?
a Roger on Roger thing.
Yeah, and
I
a couple
got
years
to
ago.
go back and look at that one.
Yeah, it was like the 60-yard bomb from Aaron Rodgers to Rodgers in Detroit to end the game.
Roger.
And if you look at the
The
play,
law firm
Oh,
of
yeah,
Rogers and
I-
Rogers.
Yeah, it's a bad Star Wars.
yeah,
thing.
and he got knocked out of the hand, and then Richard Rodgers dove for one hand to catch the ball. So yeah, cool, great effort, but in reality, just saying.
But what is reality is the Seattle's defense is exploitable and they don't
Yeah.
put pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah, Evan Ingram is not your typical.
He's
that
no
second
Richard
tier.
Rodgers, what you're saying.
Yeah, no, he's better. He's that
Yeah.
second tier tight end.
All right.
And I mean, Seattle, you start everybody.
Yeah.
You start Carson. You start Wilson. You start.
Do you
Metcalf,
do you
you start
start big?
Metcalf.
Do you start
I'm,
big?
I'm seriously considering.
No, you're not starting Big Montana. Like, I would
Wilson, please.
I would rather start him more, just because he has, or David Moore. I'm sorry, David
Yeah.
Moore.
You're getting DJs all mixed up.
I mean, he was 3 for 3 for
I'm
negative.
thinking.
yards.
I'm thinking between Mr. Unlimited or Ryan Tannehill this week.
Dude, the unlimited, man. You got to do the unlimited.
You got to.
I don't know, man. The Giants are the 13th ranked defense in the NFL.
But it's the limited, man. You want to?
Yeah, but because of Mr. Unlimited, he started his playoff early.
I've made the argument before that the Giants defense, albeit is good against the pass, they are horrible against the run. And if you exploit them for the run, they will soften on the pass. And then that. And listen, DK is a freak of nature as a wide receiver. Tyler Lockett is crazy fast. So the moment they even soften a little, they're gonna take advantage. And
No, I mean, yeah. I mean, at this point, I don't even care. I'm out of it. So
well, no, I mean, it's no roll into that attitude. But if you were to really
no, yeah. Like,
look down deep down,
there's a good
Tannehill.
matchup there.
Are you all right?
Are
Itchies?
you gonna drop the pen? Oh, I think you're gonna drop the pen.
No, I like Russell Wilson this week. I think he's going to have a good game. He had a good game against Philly. It's just he didn't have to score that much. He put up 260 yards and a touchdown.
Right,
Like, that's a decent game.
Yeah,
It's
get
just,
you 16 points.
yeah, I mean, he just didn't have to put up 3 touchdowns because it was Philly.
Yeah.
Come on.
All right.
Right.
Moving on. New England Chargers.
Chargers.
I mean,
Chargers for sure.
Herbert's
Eckler's back, baby.
Eckler's back. He looked good. They eased him in.
2 weeks too
Caught a
late.
lot- he caught a lot of passes. Herbert is still rolling strong. Allen still looking great. Mike Williams, Hunter Henry, quiet last week, but still getting the targets, still getting the receptions, yardage.
Yep.
New England side of it, again, nobody you can trust. I think Jacoby Myers is the one who's like, if you're in desperation mode, because for the past 3 weeks he threw a touchdown.
Yeah.
But I mean, if there was somebody who had to catch passes from Newton that you weren't really looking at, Jacoby Meyer has been doing that.
Damian Bird, man. Or Demiri.
We're gonna call him Damian now.
Demiri.
Demary.
Dude, they're all the same, man. They're all Damians, Demiri, Damaris, just Mr. Bird. All right. He had 8 targets, but he only caught 3. Like, that's the problem. You can't trust these guys.
All right, everything's back to normal. I disagree with you, Jay. I think the Chargers are gonna like run roughshod over the Patriots.
Yeah, no, for sure. They're gonna contain Cam Newton. They're gonna contain the run game. Cam Newton these guys cannot catch.
The Chargers have been on a bad luck run, and it's just because
It's gonna change.
Yeah. So, but
Well, they have
Herbert.
the full complement of players now too. So
All right, nothing more to talk about here. Philadelphia
these
Green Bay.
These are not the droids you're looking for.
Yeah, right. Philadelphia Green Bay.
Okay,
I mean, Wentz is starting,
cool.
but do you play him?
Cool.
Do you like Sanders
Sure.
this week against? I mean, Green
Oh
Bay.
yeah, no, for sure.
Green Bay doesn't
So
give a damn
Miles-
about the,
yeah,
about the run.
Sanders
They're like,
for
just
sure.
pass on us. We'll stop you with our pass.
I don't know. I like once.
Sanders, Goddard, you can start.
Yeah, I
that's
think
really
even
it.
with Ertz back, you still start Goddard over Ertz.
Yeah.
Do you think Ertz's days are just about done in Philadelphia?
It looks like it, but you never know. Tight end positions kind
Meow.
of proven to be the fountain of youth position for some
Yeah,
of these guys.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of feeling. Like, they have 2 really good tight ends. Why would you ruin that? You obviously don't have good wide receivers.
No, you don't.
So I mean, the
Fulham has been
the Fulham,
quiet. He's
yeah.
been
I love
He's on
Fulham though.
sour.
That's going to continue to be the team name.
that
for the
Fulham
time
is
being.
expired.
The full ham.
That's an expired meat right there.
Thanksgiving came and left. You're not eating ham for Christmas. That's for sure.
Hey, Crocus all day.
Oh
Rockets.
my gosh! So basically, all you can trust from the Eagles is Goddard and Sanders.
pretty
yeah,
much.
yeah, and I mean, Wentz is going to do what Wentz does. He's like Phillip Rivers right now. He's like you can't trust any of the wide receivers, but he's still putting up yards. Like he's still putting up 215. He's averaging 200 yards a game, 250. It just the interceptions hurt. Like he had 215 and 2 touchdowns, but he threw the interception. That lowers it. The week before, 235, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Against the Giants, 208, 0-0.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like every week he's throwing an interception, and that's hurting him.
It's like right now you can't count on anybody. You can't count on Rager, even though
Yeah.
they'd like to count on Rager. They just can't get the receivers the ball consistently like he used to before. You can't. Jeffrey can't get the ball. It looks like Jeffrey can't even catch right now. Like
Right. Like if you're the Wentz owner, you probably went out and got like a Cousins. You probably went and got like a Matthew Stafford,
Yeah.
a David Carr. Like I don't know, man. I kind of think like the Packers defense is worse than the Bears. So I would
You
start
said it right.
Wentz over Stafford. But I mean,
Worcester
like,
works good.
but I mean, like if you don't trust Wentz, I mean, you
Right.
know,
All right, on the Packers side of the ball, you're starting Rodgers, you're starting Adams, you're starting Jones. I'm gonna name 3 more players after you, and you tell me if they are flex worthy of playing or you just keep them benched.
give it to me.
Robert Tunyon,
Bench,
Alan Lazard,
start,
MVS,
bench.
Elliott.
The opposite of what Moose is saying. So Lazard, you said Lazard play, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Bench him.
Okay.
MVS, play him, and then
Start Robert
Tunyon.
Tunyon.
Tunyon, I don't know, man. No, I probably
No,
bench him.
it's weird because he's been targeting Mercedes Lewis. So
Yeah,
like,
but-
so when Adams was out and Tunyon went on that quick little spree of like, hey, I'm getting a lot of points because Rodgers is thrown to me. It's kind of like faded back now where they're using 2 tight end sets and
We still have Williams
is a
too.
factor of it. But if I had to start somebody for flex, I would the true Lazard king.
yeah.
It would be Alan
I mean-
Lazard, bench the other 2.
Ryan Tunyon last 2 weeks was targeted 5 times, caught 5 passes, and has scored a touchdown.
Right.
But I think they have too many offense weapons back now
Well,
that I think he's back to the bottom of the
see,
barrel.
again, when you're looking at that, you're looking at like how do these teams favor against tight ends? The Bears have been soft against tight ends. So Rodgers exploited that with Mercedes Lewis's touchdown and Tunyon being 5 for 5 getting a touchdown. So if the Eagles are tough on tight ends, then it would not be a smart play to play Tunyon.
Yeah, but if you're saying Mercedes Lewis is getting targeted more than Tunyon,
I'm saying he's been a bit of a more benefactor as far as like,
he
looks from
hasn't. Against the Bears, he was targeted 4 times. He only caught 2 for 16 and a touchdown. Against Indy, 1 for 1 for 8. Wasn't targeted against Jacksonville. San Francisco, 1 for 1 for 1 and a touchdown. Nothing against Minnesota. He's not being targeted. It's just they're putting him in certain packages.
It's out of convenience. I
Right.
mean, like
Like-
the 1 for a touchdown is Aaron Rodgers gets them into the red zone, and he's the guy that just
Exactly.
happens to be open.
Like, I would not start MVS. I would not even start Mercedes Lewis. If I'm
no,
looking for
I'm not saying I'm not advocating to start for Mercedes Lewis. I'm just saying is that kind of stuff takes that touchdown away from Tunyon.
sure, but
Yes.
it's away from everybody else.
But if you don't have everybody else, but you have Tunyon, and you're like, do I start him? And you play him that week, and it's like Mercedes Lewis 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he gets
Tunyon
vultured.
got 0, but he caught all 5 of his passes for 40 yards. You're like, it is what it is,
Yeah, but that's the beauty of fantasy. That's why you hate it.
right? And you love it.
Like, I would start Jamal Williams over those 3.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, you forgot about Williams, but like, he's gonna have the same kind of fantasy impact like that he did against the Bears. He'll get you some decent little trash yards, and he may get a touchdown depending on the situation. But
I just
Jones
think,
is your guy.
yeah, I think Eagles are too weak of a team, and it's going to be Devontae Adams' show. I could see him blowing up again for 4 touchdowns. And enough about Packers talk.
All right, let's
I
move
have a
along.
bad taste in my mouth.
Chiefs, Denver.
Oh God, do we have to talk about this too?
Well, I mean,
it's for the.
Fire up all your Kansas City.
so here what
players.
we can
Let's
talk
go.
about is
Next.
we'll talk about Edwards-Helaire.
Hold on. Start Drew Lock if you're looking for a Broncos quarterback. The pen has spoken. And let's move on to the Chiefs.
Well, no, we should talk great. Oh yeah, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Like
Enough said.
Like really, is there anybody of relevance? Even with Lock in, can you trust
Noah
QB
Fant.
anymore? Can you start Noah Fant?
I mean, Gordon, Lindsey. Lindsey.
Gordon has done nothing all season.
Not true. You sat him when he scored 2 touchdowns.
Bro, I sat him, and he still only got like 14 points. He had 2 touchdowns, only got 17 points. And guess what he followed up with? A beautiful 12 yards or 12 carries for 31 yards.
Yeah.
Sexy.
But that's the beauty of fantasy, right? Because
Right.
those 17 points, if you had him in a flex position, you were super happy. Even if he was your number 2 running back, you were still happy.
Oh, God, what I wish for a number 2 running back.
All right,
I want for
fine.
Christmas.
So a Chiefs side of the ball. If Hilaire is not out, is this a huge day for Bell?
Yes. It's a huge day for the whole Chiefs offense. I think you could put Bell or Hilaire back there, and you're going to get the same product. It's
Even
just,
the original Lizard King.
yeah, the original Lizard King. I mean, he's back healthy. He's out there slithering.
So yeah, so you know it's that time of year. It's what he's good for. The beginning of the year and the end of the year when the fantasy points don't matter. You know what I mean? So
Because ever since when he came on with the Chiefs, everyone got all freaked out, like, "Oh, what's this going to do with Hilaire's share of the ball? How's this going to eat into his playing time?" It hasn't affected.
I don't know.
At
You
all.
own him.
no,
I
they've
know,
been,
and I haven't started him since.
they've
I
been a
haven't.
really good serviceable
I've been sitting
running back
waiting
tandem.
like a thief in the night for when Hilaire kind of like either trips up and falls or whatever, and you know, and then I could plug him right in a flex position. This could be that week if Hilaire is out, but if he's in, I can't trust to play him
Right, but
because look,
But that's what you said.
5-1-10 against Las Vegas, 5.
yeah, but what is your question? If
What?
Hilaire is out, do you trust Bell?
Do you feel like he will have a huge game?
Right. So when White Edwards-Hilaire went down 2 weeks ago for half of the game and Bell came in, he had that touchdown in like 45 yards.
Yeah, but if Tyreek Hill has the same kind of game that he had last week, it's not going to really matter who's starting at running back.
Well, I
You know
mean,
what I mean?
it's going to be the Broncos, and if they go to a big blowout, they're going to be running the ball. But that's what I'm saying. If Hilaire's out, then yes, you could start Bell because that offense, they don't care who's back there.
Mm-hmm.
And Bell can still catch out of the backfield. It's just Hilaire's younger, probably more agile, a little bit more quicker. This is facts. Bell's old.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this offense, they don't go through the running back. The offense goes through Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, and Mahomes.
Yeah.
So if Edwards-Hilaire is out, I think you could start him. Like, I would start him with confidence. If Hilaire's in, I keep riding the bench like you have been because you can't trust that he's going to produce anything. You get what I'm saying?
It's the same
I've
thing
always
as Tampa
gotten what
Bay.
you're saying. The point is, the questions that I'm asking is just what it is.
Is what? If Hilaire's out, do you trust Bell?
Right.
And I
You
said,
have no-
yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Why wouldn't you?
He's the number
I'm
2
just
running
saying
back.
because it doesn't matter. Like you said,
Sir.
I know it doesn't matter. Don't stir me.
Sir, I'm going to say
Don't stir me.
when Devontae Freeman became and signed with the Giants, who was way worse than the Chiefs, you started him for 4 weeks and you had him twice on
Facts.
your the thing.
Did I do twice?
Yeah.
Yeah, you put him in your locked and loaded too.
Yeah, and you had,
I did do locked load, and
you were like, start
Thank God we're not keeping track of that.
start
I've
up
got
the
more guys
Jones
hurt with
and
my
start
locked
up
and
the
loaded.
Freeman train. I was like, no, don't touch the Giants.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, we got to do an end of the year like
We're gonna have to do
things
something.
that we did that were like things that we said that
Some
were like
things Steve was
not
put on
right
his
at
phone.
all.
Like all the things we said.
Right.
There's
All right.
probably some people. Jay that's
Washington-
probably keeping track.
Washington, Pittsburgh.
Love you, Jay. You know it.
How many points do you think Terry McScorin's going to score?
Scary Terry.
1.
we could breeze through this like
You're
nothing else.
playing the best team,
Right.
and they played horrible last night against the
Yesterday
Ravens.
afternoon on a
Yeah.
Wednesday afternoon.
Like Big Ben, they were like, "Wow, how do you feel about this win?" And Big Ben's like, "It's disappointing." And they're like, "But you won." He was like, "We played like garbage." He was like, "All of us played like garbage."
Best quote of the year was from the Steelers coach when they asked him about how they were having issues with scoring touchdowns in the end zone, and he said, "Yeah, because we sucked."
Right. And they still won.
And hot take, they're playing the second best team in the league. Kansas City's still the best team in the league until proven otherwise. But I can't wait for that game because it's going to be a really good game. Because the Steelers defense is top notch.
Yeah, I kind of feel the Steelers are the team to beat this year. I get what you're coming from with the Chiefs, but I feel that their defense could hold Mahomes.
Yeah, but the
30
Chiefs have better options. You know, they have Hill, McCole Hardman, Lizard King. Nobody talks about McCole Hardman.
Right.
Bell, El Hilaire. So I kind of think that game, that's your AFC Championship game, like right there, and I'm here for it. Like I can't wait for that game.
You could score touchdowns on defense, Jay,
Special
and you
teams?
could do special teams. So once again, which defense do you trust more, Steelers or Chiefs?
The Steelers defense, though,
Right.
while
And
it's
now-
not steel curtain, it's very
Now
very
let me ask
good.
you this: you have the Steelers defense, which you like more than the Chiefs. Do you like the Chiefs defense more than you like the Steelers offense?
I don't know. That's why I'm saying it's gonna be one of those games that it's gonna be the
Juju?
Mike Tyson. It's gonna be
Carpool?
Mike Tyson versus what's his
Carpool?
name?
Carpool.
Claypool.
Claypool has now been replaced by Carpool.
Carpool?
It's gonna be Tyson Holmes. Tyson Jones.
I like the Steelers, and I'm just saying Washington's playing the best team. So
For that game, yeah, it's Steelers all day.
I think the only question that you could really ask out of this one is like,
I think
since Connor's out and Snell's going to be in, could you really play Snell against the 5th best ranked running defense?
well, I mean, he did pretty good against the Ravens last night, and the Ravens.
Is Connor able to be brought back?
He is on COVID, but they're not saying what happened since he went on COVID.
I wonder if he's still banged up from the ankle. And
Right. That's why I'm wondering if they're playing this COVID thing and they're keeping him off of that to
Mhm.
hide the ankle issue. But I mean, against Baltimore last night, he went 16 for 60, 3 catches for 33 yards.
Right.
I think he could do that against Washington.
So that turned out what was the fancy day for him?
12:30. So I'm just saying, like, he's probably going to be a flex option for you. Or if you're hurt, like, let's say me, and you're really looking for somebody to start, like, Snell's going to get the starting reps, you know?
Right.
But I think on Washington's side, if we could want to talk on that very quickly, I think you still start Scary Terry because he's their only offense, and Gibson. Like, those are the only two guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the only 2 guys we've been talking about
Exactly.
since week 1.
Yeah,
The
for
only one
sure.
you could really start.
Yeah.
So
I guess the other big question is, do you trust
I mean, yesterday's game was Juju had the better game out of all 3 wide receivers: Deontay, Claypool, Carpool, and
Washington?
Yeah.
Or Johnson?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's Johnson,
you
not
had
Washington. They're both like that.
Yeah.
Weird.
Deontay, DeAndre, Washington. Yeah. Either way. So yes.
Man, poor James Washington. He really fell
Figured
off.
it out. Yeah.
Washington.
Yeah, and like I always thought, like James Washington and is it not Duke? It's Deontay Johnson, like are on like the same people. But I mean, I guess not. I mean, Deontay Johnson got targeted 13 times, 16
No, he
against
gets-
Jags. It's crazy.
Yeah. So it's going to be one of those every other week. Somebody from the Steelers wide receivers is going to have a great game, while the other comes as a close 2, and the other one just completely
Yeah.
falls off the radar.
And if you're looking for a streaming tight end, I think Logan Thomas or Ebron could be an option for you.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Smith likes throwing to the tight end.
you could probably get more out of Ebron than you will out of Logan Thomas. But no, I'm with you with
You think
Alex
so?
Smith. I'm with you with
Did he score a touchdown yesterday?
Logan Thomas had 4 for 4.
No, Ebron.
No, Logan Thomas scored a touchdown against the Cowboys. I don't know if Ebron scored that touchdown.
Or did they take that off the board? I thought he scored a touchdown yesterday.
I'm trying to load it up right now. Give me 1 second.
Because Pittsburgh's currently the best.
They took it off.
They are the number 1 defense against tight ends. So they are the toughest against tight ends.
He also was targeted 11 times, but once again, is that because they were shutting down Johnson and
No. I'm talking about Logan Thomas.
right.
Like Steelers have shut down tight ends.
Yeah, I'm looking at more as like Alex Smith looks like Scary Terry, and then he's going to go to Logan.
Right, he may check down to
Yeah.
like Logan looking like that, but as far as the fantasy play is concerned,
Yeah.
like
It's
no,
a scary reach, but it's a
like you
desperate
could throw on
reach, yeah.
Washington, you can't throw on Pittsburgh.
right,
That's
right,
how
right.
damn crazy good this defense really
And
is.
I mean, if you're really looking for a reach, I mean, I'm starting McKissick again.
Poughkeepsie?
McKissick.
Him too.
Poughkeepsie?
I mean, he hurt me last week. He only had 3 touches.
I know,
But
right?
whatever.
Man,
Pretty
we
for
got
that
hurt.
L.
Yeah, you got lucky. That's what matters.
No, I came in and devoured your team like a boss.
I'm just at this point trying to be the champion of deep dish. At least I have something to
There
hold
you
on
go.
to.
Right? You got to have faith in something.
That and I'm going for the number 1 pick.
There you go.
There you go. And for our last 2 picks of the night, we have Buffalo, San Francisco, Dallas, Baltimore. Boys, I will leave it up to you for which one you want to talk to about first.
Buffalo and 49ers.
All right. You
Buffalo.
Get the ball.
Okay, cool.
Oh, cool. Yeah, get the
I
ball
like-
rolling,
I
Moose.
like Buffalo here. I mean, 49ers, like, they play dirty. And by dirty, I mean, like, the games that they're supposed to get creamed.
They muck it up.
Come out,
Yeah.
man, and, like, play. And, I mean, Mostert's back for them. Hooray. Good for you.
So, I
McKinnon's
believe
back.
this is one of the...
Wilson's back.
Is this... Okay, so because of COVID, they're not allowed to play in Santa Clara.
No, I
But
think they're going to
LA's
play in Arizona.
LA's playing Arizona in Arizona. Right?
Yeah, but they're not at. They're playing at. No, Buffalo's coming to them.
Right, so...
But yeah, they got moved to Arizona. So is one an early game and one's a night game?
Maybe.
Yeah. Because it's Monday. So one's playing on Sunday, one's playing on Monday.
Okay, so I know they agreed to go to Arizona, but
Yeah,
I
it's
thought
also
that
good to go.
in other words that they might pivot to Texas, but I didn't get the official word on that. So that's why I was like, both teams are going to be in Arizona, like one after the other. Yeah, I get it. So it's just a little extra COVID preparedness now because that's crazy to let somebody
Mhm.
else use your facilities and trust that there's no contamination.
Well, if you're technically following NFL protocol, you shouldn't have to worry, but we all know how that goes.
Right.
Yeah, and technically,
Cue Lamar Jackson.
if they're going to be in the same facility, then they're under that bubble rule.
Okay.
So it's like as if, like, you know, the NBA had that bubble rule where they had like,
Yeah.
the 6 or whatever, those 8 teams for the playoffs, and then the NHL had those teams, and just when they got eliminated, they left the bubble.
hmm
Because if I'm not mistaken, I believe the 49ers do like 3 home games or something like that.
Their final 3 home games will be in Arizona. One of them is actually being played against Arizona,
Okay,
so
so
it works
right,
out
right.
for them.
And I mean, I still like the Bills here. I like Allen. I think you can start Singletary or Moss, if not both.
So if Brandon Ayuk is out, Debo Samuel,
Yeah. Oh, I
yeah,
think
Debo.
you have to start Debo.
Regardless,
And it looks like Brandon Ayuk is going to be
he practiced today,
good to
didn't
go.
he?
Yeah.
okay.
So I think you could start Brandon Ayuk or Debo because, I mean, they have nobody else.
Mm.
And I mean, Matt Mullins is. Or
I mean,
Nate,
you're going to start Mostert. You're not starting Mullins. Let's be
Yeah.
serious. You're not doing
you're
that.
not, but I mean, he's been in the league where he could get the ball to these wide receivers.
Right. Benefits of wide receivers,
Yeah.
not so much for himself. It is what it is.
Yeah, I like the Beasles. I like Diggs.
Right.
Bills defense.
Bills defense. I
See,
think-
again, like you said, they play dirty when they're going up against tough matchups.
I know, but
and
I'm
the Bills'
thinking, like,
defense have given up a lot of points this season.
yeah, but I'm looking at, like, if they could stop the run, then they have to worry about the pass. And I like the Bills' secondary more than I like their front seven.
Mhm.
You play Cole.
Building their front seven.
You
Yeah,
play
they're going
Cole.
from the cool to the hot.
Cole Beasley's. Yeah.
All right. And then Dallas, Baltimore.
Oh, God.
So you got the Red Rifle, Zeke, and a battered up O line.
The
Against
red
the
Rona
Dolphins.
versus the purple Rona.
Mm-hmm.
So last week, it's hard. This playing on Wednesday thing completely screwed me up. I wanted to say last week, but finishing up this week, going into next week, Ingram and J.K. Dobbins are cleared to play, but they are healthy scratches yesterday. Lamar Jackson is yet to be confirmed whether or not he will play. So if he doesn't, we're going to see round 2 of RG3.
slash
Holly-
I
McSorley.
thought he was hurt.
Right.
Yeah, he got pulled, and McSorley came in. Or
He got pulled. So
Trade.
RG3 got pulled. RG3 got pulled in the game. He looked like he was exhibiting like signs of being sick, but I hear it's a hamstring.
Those signs of coach, get me out. Get me
That
out.
was
I'm playing like crap.
I got the Rona. No, I think it was the hamstring. He had a hamstring issue. Poor RG3 because he really looked good in the beginning of that game.
yeah, so it was they pulled him up due to a hamstring issue, but then he got more tests done, and it turned out to be a thigh.
Okay.
And that's the reason why he left, but his status has not changed as of today for what will happen for the upcoming game.
So you better hope Lamar is back. If not, it's going to be more of the same as what is how they played this week.
Yeah.
So
So Lamar's a question mark, but I mean,
Hollywood Brown looked good yesterday.
he only had that one good catch.
He had 83 for a touchdown. Whether it's the last catch of
That's
the
all you
game or
needed,
the first
right?
catch of the game,
Right.
sometimes that's all you need. But if you're going to get a repeat of the same, you know, I got to look back. Like, how was Mark Andrews targeted? You know, like, what was his day looking like?
Mark Andrews, I think, is injured.
Or is he still was he still out for?
He was out.
I'm
He was
sorry,
out.
he was out.
Mhm.
he was
Rare
doing so
for
well.
today.
I mean, he had a good game before he was out for COVID, but
I mean, to be all honestly, if Lamar Jackson's not starting, you're not really confident on any of the wide receivers from the Baltimore Ravens, and you're not even confident with them other than Mark Andrews when Jackson's in.
Mhm.
So I think you look at Gus Bus and you look at Dobbins.
Right. Ingram's probably just there's nothing
Right,
left
so
to really
yeah,
find in there.
if you're looking for a vulture, a touchdown vulture, if
Yeah.
he even gets to that position, I would consider Ingram. But
You know, then you go over to the Dallas side, like you're not starting Dalton against the Ravens defense.
No.
You're starting
Cooper.
Zeke
Who?
because you have to.
Right.
You're starting Cooper and you're starting Lamb
Because you have to.
because you have to. Like Dalton is getting them the ball now. It's not like what it was the first game out, but I mean, like it's still not the production that they would have got normally. And I mean, Gallup made a little splash. He was 8 for 6,
Yeah.
but that was against Washington.
Right.
You're not going to
It's-
against Baltimore.
Cooper had one of his better games of the year,
Yeah.
but that was against Washington.
Yeah, no, this
the
defense.
race to number 3 pick.
Yeah. I don't think it's a waste. It's just Dak went down.
No, it's the race.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, yeah. So they're Dallas can't
Oh,
wait for the
race.
season. Yeah, they can't
Right,
wait for
right,
the
right,
season
right,
to be over so they can get the number 3 pick.
I mean,
Yeah.
Jerry Jones has to legitimately see what happens when you don't have Dak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're just looking at it.
Yeah, and do you like? Well, let's consider. Does McCarthy even make it to next year?
I think we said it 2 weeks ago. He's probably gone.
Yeah.
Everyone knows how
Jay
Jerry Jones
posted-
is.
He asked the question Nagy or McCarthy, and we were like, yeah, probably McCarthy over Nagy.
Yeah.
So
Nagy's seat will be one of the hottest seats in the league next year, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jerry Jones was like, because we know how Jerry Jones is. If he don't get his way, out.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
I
we
wouldn't be
don't know what
surprised if he gets fired.
Yeah, we weren't there. What was said during the meeting? So was this like, hey, I need like 3 years, and in 3 years, then cut me, and be like
Why would
what-
you need
the
3
one
years
that-
though? I mean, I'm sorry to cut you off, but why would you need 3 years? I mean, Dak is a serviceable quarterback. You got Amari Cooper. They drafted CeeDee Lamb, and you got Zeke.
Yeah,
And you have a
I'm
really
just
good
saying-
offensive line. Like, I don't get why he would go in there and say, hey, I need 3 years. I think he went in there and said, hey, with the personnel that we have, I can get us to the Super Bowl. And that's why he's going to get fired.
We'll see.
or he
Sure.
could have been waiting for another coach to come up or get released or not sign a contract, and that's why he just needed a veteran coach to kind of fill it in because the player personnel will carry you no matter what.
Yeah,
So
In Dallas, they believe in the system. They believe they can plug in whoever as long as they have the top flight running back and decent receivers. Their big three, they feel like as long as they have that, it doesn't matter who's there. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Well,
That's how Jerry
one out of their
Jones
big
feels.
three is gone, and it's been hurting them ever since. I mean,
Agreed.
they just lost two of their tackles for a number of weeks now, but their backups are fine. They'll be okay. But the point is, when you lose the head of the snake of this team, you saw how the rest followed. So
I mean, yeah, I mean, no matter how it goes, that's a quarterback-driven league.
right.
If you don't have a good you see the teams that don't have good quarterbacks, how they're struggling, and then you look at the teams that have either veterans or the up and coming quarterbacks.
It does go to show you how things are so much different from years past, where if you didn't have a good quarterback, but you had a great running back in the line, then you were very run heavy and you did these little dink and dunk passes, and that's how you got by because you had a serviceable defense behind you.
Yeah,
where nowadays it's so fast paced and just very like aggressive that Dallas's defense, even getting Van Der Esch back, it still doesn't mean jack squat.
Right.
And they can't be a run heavy offense because for whatever reason they're not developing the holes and they're not making things happen, so they can't rely on throwing it because they don't have anybody to throw it.
Right.
So you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, Dallas. So good luck, we're gonna say, and good luck to the rest of you this week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We guys hope you had fun. Especially listening to my idiotic comments throughout the day. But hey, that's what I'm here for, right? Comedic relief.
That's why I'm here.
We hope you guys have a great night, great rest of the week. We will talk to you guys on Sunday, 11 a.m. Central on our Facebook group page. Up, down, left, right, left, BA select start for the cheat code for all you Nintendo fanatics out there. Make sure you're listening to us on Apple Pod, Spotify, iHeart. You email us to the show. If you like us, subscribe to us. Simple as that.
Yeah, Stitcher.
Yeah. From all of us here, myself, Moose, Elliot, stay frosty, Chicago.
Have a good evening, everyone.
I like scotch. Scotchy, scotch. I couldn't help it.